Hi guys, welcome to our point of view. So good to have everybody here today.
Audio Jungle.
Hi guys, welcome. We're going to be talking about so good to have everybody here today. We're going to be talking to younger women between the ages of 25 and 30 today. So we want to welcome you guys to the show. We appreciate you all for joining us this evening. We're going to go ahead and get started. Want to say hey to Miss Connie. How you doing today, Miss Connie?
Hello, hey everybody out there in YouTube and Facebook land. Thank you for joining us once again. It is our pleasure to be here on today. We have a great talk in store for you. We are talking to our young women, the 21st century women, I call them, because normally when we do these all women shows, we have women that are seasoned, about my age, or in their late 40s to 60s. So last time we did this, I shared with our producer, I said, hey, we need to talk to the young women and see what they have to say about some of these things that we're talking about. So we're excited to have you all here. We have with us, first of all, we have Ashley. Wave at the people, ask, that is Ashley.
Hi.
And then we have with us Choice. Wave at the Choice. And then we have also with us Brittany. Brittany is with us, and Jen, of course, is our other co-host. So we're all here just to have a wonderful conversation. And I'm going to just ask each of our guests to kind of share a little bit about their history, where they're from, and whatever they'd like to share with our listeners and viewing audience, they can do so at this time. And we're going to start right at the top with Ashley.
Right at the top. My name is Ashley. I am founder, owner of my business, Grazing Grace. It's a charcuterie board business. I am also a wife and a mother of 3, and I live in Atlanta, Georgia.
Good to have you. Thank you, Ashley. And we're going to go right on over there to Brittany.
Hi guys, again, I'm Brittany. I am, a prior military. I'm currently working for the government with kids, which is what I love to do. I'm a mother of none. I'm just waiting for the right one and a partner to one.
And then, no, she is a mother to her dog, Brody.
Brody. Does he count?
Oh my gosh. Y'all would think that that was her child. Okay, I'm sorry, but
That's our children.
Thank you. Thanks, Jen.
And then we're going to go right over to Choice. Go ahead, Choice.
Hello, everyone. My name is Choice. I am the owner of Right Choice Cocktails. It is a mobile cocktail business. I am actually one of the very few Georgia peaches that I know. I have been in Atlanta all my life. I am also a mother to a 5-year-old, and I have a fiance at home. So I am outnumbered. I am the only woman in my house. So you know how that goes. Also, I do have a corporate full-time job as well. So excited to be here with you ladies this evening.
Welcome to the show. And Brittany hails from,
I'm an Army brat. I grew up in Maryland. My family's from New Jersey. I've lived in Georgia, North Carolina, Virginia. So
If I could just chime in, I'm not from Atlanta, so you are the only peach here, Choice. I am also a military brat. My father was in the Army, so I've traveled everywhere, born in South Carolina, but everywhere. So there.
Okay, all right. Military brats. We have 2 on the show today.
I was going to say, see, you feel like a visitor in your own city, and that's how I feel every time I'm out and about these days. So it's
because everybody you meet is from somewhere, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I hear that a lot. So let's jump right in. So the first thing we're going to talk about, and this was a great conversation. I told Jackie we need to do an entire show just on this alone. But my first question I'd like to pose to you all, you ladies, is what generation are you? And by generation, I mean, are you a millennial, Generation Z, Generation X? I know y'all not baby boomers, because that's my generation. I think my generation was the baby boomers. So first of all, do you know your generation, or do you even know what that is? Start with Ashley.
I'll say I'm a millennial. And if I didn't know it myself, everyone tells me that I'm a millennial just by the way that we do things. It's such a millennial thing to do. So yeah, if I didn't, I know that I'm a millennial, but if I didn't know, I'm pretty sure that the other generations would remind me frequently.
Well, because millennials were born between the year of 1981 and 1986. So were you in there, Ashley?
1986.
1981. I'm sorry, 1981 to 1996.
Yes,
Oh,
that's
okay.
what I fall into. I was like, oh, well, what am I then?
I
I don't know what I am
I'm a
anymore.
millennial there too.
Okay,
I was like, maybe I need
so-
to be on the next show.
1981 to
That's what I-
1996.
Yes.
That's the millennial. Okay, so Choice.
You could put me in that millennial bracket as well. I like to think I'm a little wiser, but you know, I have to claim millennials for now. And that's true.
And
I like that
Brittany.
answer, Choice.
Same answer as Choice
So all of you are millennials
by definition.
by definition, according
absolutely.
to what
Not necessarily mindset.
the research says. And Jen, how about you?
Yes, I fit in that bracket too. I'm a millennial.
You're a millennial too, Jen? What year were you born?
I just made it though.
You right on the
I'm
cusp.
81. I'm 81. So
Okay.
I'm giving away all my
81.
business. Yeah, I'm 81.
Okay. So all of y'all are
Mhm.
millennials, which is something because and I of course I had to ask my son because I don't be knowing. So when I asked him, he said the silent generation is considered being born between 1928 and 1945. Silent generation, meaning the people who basically they were silent, so to speak, but we won't get into that. And then the baby boomers, which was my generation, 1946 to 1964 is the cutoff. And then 65 to 1980 is Generation X. I didn't even know that. And then millennials, 1981 to 1996, Gen Z, Zoomers, they're called 1997 to 2010. And then the alpha generation is 2011 to current right now. So that's the breakdown. And then I asked them, I said, well, who comes up with this? Do you all know how they come up with these names and everything? No, right? Y'all never paid it any attention because I didn't either.
We're not in that tax bracket. I mean, I'm sorry, tax bracket. We're not in that bracket. Ms. Thompson.
Right. So there's really no official commission as to how the names came about. It was just a combination of people doing different kind of researches and, you know, doing data on people's opinions and so forth and so on. And that's how you became in these different categories. But since we're talking to the millennials, and I have children from millennials all the way to all of my children are technically millennials. Really, they all fall into the same age bracket, really, because my oldest is 39 and my baby is 25, so they fall right into the center of that. But what I wanted to ask you all is that because you're millennials, what is it that you see with your generation that's much more different than my generation, say? And let's start with go ahead, Britt.
I was going to say that I think that the bigger difference is the gap behind me, if that makes sense. I feel like millennials are kind of stuck with what you guys have and the new. We were here before the computers and we're here after. So a lot of the things we learned were things that our mom taught us. So we're still into, doing things in the home and that kind of thing. But at the same time, we have access to more information than our parents. So we're kind of independent women at the same time, if that makes any sense.
That's good. Yeah. Ashley?
I would just say we are probably, I would say we're a little more open to change because we see so much change. We've seen a lot of change in our lifetime, if you will. Like Brittany mentioned, going from not having computers to having computers. It's crazy. My husband and I were having a conversation and we were talking about like the AOL, like the dial-up internet. And it was so funny because like we thought about it and then we looked at our kids and we were like, man, you'll never know about that. And granted, we know that's what our parents think too, you know, because when they talk to us, they're like, yeah, we remember when the TV cut off. I don't particularly remember that myself, but they, you know what I mean? But
Yes, yes.
it's crazy how it's to watch, I guess, life through my children's eyes now, realizing that, you know, things are constantly changing.
Yes. Choice.
I would say with the millennials, I would say that we are more risk takers than our parents coming up. I was raised in, a traditional old school home, and, my mom like always needed to work. It wasn't like, I'm going to be a little more on my own, go out, start my own business, becoming an entrepreneur. It was pretty much like, go to college, get your degree, get a good paying job, pay your bills on time. That was kind of, how I was raised coming up. And so now with the millennials, it's more like we have more of a voice and we want a seat at the table, which, sometimes that's a good and a bad thing. I work in corporate America. I see it all the time. But, just knowing your place, but also having a voice and being able to stand up for what's right and what's wrong. And I think to Ashley's point, like I have a 5-year-old, if the phone goes dead in the car, he's about to have a conniption. And he's like, Mom, God, can I see your phone? No, you cannot. This is mommy's phone. You have your phone. When it goes dead, just look at the trees. And so he's 5 and he's like, Mom, the tree, like, that's going to be so boring. I said, do you know when your mom grew up, we didn't have a phone. We didn't even know what that was. And I said, and mommy's first phone was black and white. So please understand to this, I'm talking to my 5-year-old like this, but, just from a technology standpoint, we've came so far. And also just from an educational standpoint, we have a lot of resources that are more available to us now that we knew nothing about. We have a lot of more entrepreneurs that are able to take us under their belts, be mentors to us. And that way we're able to be successful in our own space or, at that corporate full-time job. So I think, that's the dynamic, that kind of how I see it as well.
Yeah, Jen.
Let's see. I actually want to point out the fact that there is a huge difference, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, between the 80s millennial and the 90s millennial. And the reason I say that is because, like they pointed out, there's so many things that were not available to the earlier generation that is now available. I did not grow up with a cell phone. I did not grow up with all types of electronic devices everywhere. I did not grow up with a remote to my TV. I got up and I changed the channel manually. So there's just a lot more things that we, didn't yet have, a lot of innovations that hadn't come along yet. And I think that kind of made us more, I don't want to say harder working, but I feel like we just had to put a little bit more effort into a lot of the things that we did. Like 90s and up, they can do a lot of things that we weren't able to do in terms of just, they get on the computer and they had access to whatever they need. Like we went to the library to do things. We had to go read a book to get certain things. We had to do a lot of those type of things. So I'm just speaking from my personal experience when I say I think there's a huge difference between that and also just in the mindset overall. And like was mentioned previously, guys definitely are some risk takers. And you're quick to pull out that cell phone and record something that ain't right, put it on social media, put people on blast, like, listen, this is what's going on. We don't like it. We're going to protest. We're going to fight. And of course, our ancestors have been doing that since day one, but I feel like it's more visible now because we actually see what's going on. We can put a face to a lot of these things. And so, I love the way things are going. There's a lot of things that I'm not too happy about in terms of maybe just less discipline in the homes. I don't feel like there's enough of that with these new generations. I feel like there's a lot less respect for the elder generations, unfortunately. But again, you got to take the good with the bad, and hopefully those things can begin to, to kind of get a little better as we go along. But there's a lot of differences, a lot of likenesses, and just, I don't know, that's just what I've been seeing. Yeah,
no, I agree. Go ahead, Ashley.
I have a question. When you were saying the disrespect to the older generation, were you referring to the millennials being a part of that, or the other generations after the millennial generation?
Well, that's one of the reasons why I said there's a huge difference between the 80s and the 90s, because I actually see that in a lot in the 90s millennials on
definitely.
I feel like I feel like we they get away with a lot more things than we got away with in the 80s. I tell people all the time, my mom had one specific belt that it was a clear belt. It had the word jeans on it and never saw a pair of jeans It was specifically there to let us know you will be handled at any time of the day. And unfortunately now there's just not that discipline there. And it's caused a lot of the issues that we're seeing with, just like I said, lack of respect. So I'm not saying it's,
I have to 100% agree with you on that. I'm at the more towards the end of the 80s, but I think one thing that my husband and I talk about all the time, unfortunately, is the lack of grandmothers as we're starting to see, what I mean? The grandmothers are starting to just disappear. I lost my grandmother 7 years ago, but when I think about how long I had her, you know what I mean? Whereas when you think about, and not in every situation, but when you think about some of these kids that were born in the, the 90s, and forward, some of them didn't have their grandmothers like that, or their mothers were a lot younger than what our mothers were. You know what I mean?
Their grandmothers were raising them because their mothers haven't been present. So you're right. It's a big difference. And it's funny because when Jen was talking, I'm thinking, that's absolutely right, because I have a son who was born, of course, in 81, but I turn around and I have a son that was born in 92. Now the 92 and 81 baby, they more so, on the same kind of wavelength. The 95 and 96 baby is that 90s baby. However, they're right on the cusp. Like they still were respectful. They still got beatings. But my oldest son says, oh, they got away with so much more than we did when I was younger. Like, mommy, they didn't get beat. They didn't get, and I had to sit back. I was like, I said, you think so? So yes, ma. And when you think about it, I'm like, yeah, probably. I probably was a bit more lenient with, my younger two than I was with the older one, only because
don't you know more? I feel like, and as I was listening to Jen and Ashley, and I completely agree. First things first, I believe in discipline. I completely believe in discipline. Jen, I am 91. So you talk about me when you talk about those 90 babies. I am disciplined, okay? But I say this to say, I feel like a part of it is that our parents didn't have the resources that we had. So yes, discipline is important, but the way that we were disciplined is not necessarily the right way. A lot of us experience trauma from that discipline that our parents, gave us. So now we have resources, we have books, we have people who want to tell us how to raise our kids. And I'm not saying that go buy it, but because we have more resources, we should be better. So the way that we used to get beat with them belts and swinging, we know now that's not right. So we're not going to beat our kids like that. Beat them on their butt.
I'm beating your kid. I'm beating.
And that's why my kids over there.
Thank you, guys. I understand that some people don't really like the fact that, as young children early on, we were disciplined in a different way. Okay, I get that. I'm not saying abuse your children. I'm not saying hit. Okay. So
y'all wasn't abused. We was abused.
Certain things are unacceptable. You have to draw a line somewhere. But I believe that it should be a balance. I believe it should be a balance between being able to spank your child and being able to sit down and have a conversation and say, this is what you did, this is why I didn't like it, and this is how we can fix it. I think that there needs to be a balance between those two things. And unfortunately, it's leaning more to the side of, well, just don't do it again. Oh, go stand in the corner. And they're not understanding that. They're not getting that, okay, this is not correct. This is not something that you're supposed to do. But all that's going to happen is I'm going to stand in the corner for 30 seconds and then they're going to say, okay, go back to your room. No, if I pop you on your legs or if I smack your hands, then, that's going to resonate in my brain. Okay, no, I don't need to do that because that hurts. You know what I mean? So it's not about being abusive. It's about just, letting them know, okay, a conversation will be had, but just know it's going to come after I popped you and told you not to do that. So I just think it's about balance, personally.
Yeah,
I don't think
absolutely.
Hitting your kids with wires and just all of that foolishness. We got a new person on here.
Yes, Sydney Frazier has just joined us. Let's welcome Sydney, everybody.
Hi, Sydney.
Hi, Sydney.
Hi. Sydney, hopefully you can stay with us. You're kind of going in and out, but hopefully you'll get in and you'll stay on. But welcome to Our Point of View. We're glad to have you. And we were just talking about the differences in generations. So we're going to let you chime in and tell us what year were you born?
I was born in 1992.
Okay, so she's still a millennial because we were talking about the millennials, the Generation Zs, the X's, and all of that. So all the women here are millennials, except yours truly. I know I might look like a millennial, but however,
Yes,
I
you
am
do. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
I am a
ma'am.
baby boomer.
Age well.
But we were just having the conversation, which is a great conversation because what we're talking about is the differences in the generations and how even just between the millennials and the baby boomers, which was our generation, and the differences in that, and then those after the 96 millennials that came after those was I can't remember what I called them, but anyhow.
Zoomers.
I think did you say Z or something like that?
I thought she called them
Zoomers.
Let's see, I'll tell you, so we be clear. So after 96, yes, Gen Z. So Gen Z is 97 to 2010. So we were talking about the differences in the generations and how our children are being raised now. And Ashley is a current mom, she's raising children. Choice has a baby she's raising. And so we were just simply talking about the differences in the generation. And another thing that I wanted to point out to you ladies was like, so for y'all moms, which were my age, because I'm 58, so most of your moms are somewhere in that area where I was, like we were literally, now I tell my kids all the time, no, we should have been calling defects every day. You know what I mean? Because we got like the extension cord, the belts tied together. It just wasn't the switch off the tree. Like we were literally going to school with whelps on our body. You know what I mean? But a lot of times we say, but it helped us, it molded us into who we are today. So like I told my son the other day, I so appreciate this generation, which you all are millennials, because you all are much more vocal. You understand what I'm saying? Back in our day, you couldn't say nothing. When mommy said it, daddy said it, that was it. You didn't get to voice your opinion. You didn't get to have no conversation. You walk in the back room, suck your teeth. Mommy say, did you just suck your teeth? And we be like, no, you know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, you can't do that. You couldn't do, like you guys, at least you all have the liberty to say, well, mommy, guess what? You're wrong. I didn't like what you said. You know what I mean? It hurt my feelings. I got a problem with it. We didn't get that. And so that's how we know the times are changing. So Sydney, tell us a little bit about your experience.
I mean, growing up, like you said, my mother, she was a baby boomer. She's around your age. And I got the extension cords. I had to pick my own switch or whatever was closest to her. And, I do agree that it has helped mold me into the woman I am today. I currently don't have any children, but I work in the school system. And so, I mean, it's a little different for me because I'm not raising any children. So, but I do give them the opportunity to explain to me what's going on and to tell me each point of view. But I'm still not with the eye rolling and the teeth sucking and the feet stomping. And, I feel that there is still a level of respect that needs to be there when you're speaking with an adult. And it's just different households. Some may not teach you that, and then some may give you a lot of rope with the being vocal. I can tell you how I feel, and that's what I said, and like you said, that's just not how I was raised. I had to be quiet, yes ma'am, take whatever was given and keep it on rolling, so I mean, it is it's a learning experience on both ends for an adult / parent and for a child as well, because like you said, I didn't have that opportunity to say, hey mom, I really didn't steal the piece of candy and you whooped me instead of whooping my sister, and it wasn't me, So in some aspects, I think it's good that this generation is able to be vocal about how they're feeling, but in a way I feel like they may take that take it above and go beyond, because I've seen some kids who they talk to you just like they on your level, they don't have no on and off or no respect for adult, they just like, well, I get to say how I feel and you get to say how you feel.
Awesome. Sydney, you having some kind of feedback. I don't know if it's two speakers or something. If somebody else has you on as well in the house, we're kind of getting that feedback. So we're kind of hearing you, but it's something in the background. You may just want to check that out.
Okay.
And while she's doing that, I wanted to ask you ladies, now who was raised in a single parent home or with two parents? Ashley,
2-parent home.
Choice,
One parent home.
Brittany,
One parent home.
and Jen was raised by her mom.
One
I
parent.
also was a one parent home. How about you, Sydney?
Single parent home.
Wow.
Yeah, so most of us were raised by women, single moms who were, you know, again, there too. You know what I mean? Just trying to, I can remember my mom, we used to always say, oh, mommy never comes to, it was just me and my sister, but we used to talk about how she didn't come to this and didn't come to that. But as we grew and got older, we realized she worked 2 jobs. When was she gonna have time to come to anything? Because she made sure we had the nicest clothes. You know what I mean? She made sure we had everything we needed. Food was always on the table. So
Right.
we got it because, you know, we felt like, okay, where was her love language? But as we grew older, we didn't know then that was her love language, by providing and making sure that we had it, everything we need. We traveled. You understand what I'm saying? We got to do things, but we were saying, but she never came to a game. We cheered, you know, we did this. My sister played ball, but she was working, trying to make it happen for us. So I think that made the difference, but we didn't realize that until we got older. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. I mean,
me-
for some,
Go ahead.
it's a little different. I come from a big family. My mother had 12 children, and most of us stayed with her. And so she did work about 2 jobs, but there were some occasions where she, you know, she made a mission to be there. You know, she wasn't there at all the games. She did come to a
Super
few.
mom.
Yeah. And then when she didn't come, I knew that she was there because I had the basketball sneakers I needed, my uniform, you know, the food, you know, whatever that the team had asked for. So even though she couldn't make it physically, she was still there. And, you know, of course, when you get home, how was the game? How many points did you score? And, you know, I'm really proud of you. I wish I could have made it, but, you know, I had to work, you know, so myself, I'm a little bit more mature, so that I could understand, because it was so many of us. I knew that she was working so hard to provide, and
right.
she didn't have the time, you know, even though she wanted to be there.
Yeah, see, but that's the difference. That your mom is me, but my mom was the mom I'm saying couldn't be there. Now for my children, I was at everything. I
Right.
made sure I went, because I think I attributed to, because I didn't have it, I didn't miss nothing. Like I was the, you know, the parent, PTSA parent, the mom,
Right.
this parent, you know, bringing the snacks to the games. I was that parent. And it was very important to me to be that parent because I didn't get that parent. But I understood why later on, why I didn't get that parent. You know what I mean? And however, my children had me and my husband, you know, so it was 2 of us. So I could go and just do it all, you know,
Right.
because hubby was there. So it made a big difference. And Ashley, let me just ask you, how was it with you with both your parents in the home? How was that?
I can't complain. You know, my father, like I said earlier, my father was in the military, so he wasn't there as regularly as, I guess you would say, the normal father who lives in the home would be. But, you know, when he was there, he was there. I can definitely say that my mom, especially in our younger years, really took a lot of the load as it pertained to taking care of my brother and I. I mean, that's what usually the mother does, you know, even if the father is home, is present, it's the mother who's, what do you need? What do you need? I feel that now being the mother of my children, you know what I mean? So it was a pleasant experience, you know, to have both parents in the home. And I think in a lot of situations, the way that I grew up and where I grew up and being in that military life, you saw that all the time. And so it was rare for me. It was rare when you saw someone whose other parent wasn't there. I could count on, you know, maybe one hand, you know, the few friends that I had who only had that one parent. But for the most part, all of my friends that I had growing up, they both had their parents in the home. So it wasn't until I got older where I started to really see even just the difference in the way that things are, processed by someone or communicated by someone. I think that a lot of people who grow up in a single parent home have a little more grit to them. You know what I mean? They have a little more need to protect their siblings. They have a need to protect that parent. You know what I mean? And not to say that I don't, but
Yeah.
I understand it at the same time.
Right. No, for sure. For sure. That's good. I wanted to just, since you started talking about, and it's going to tie us right into the next thing I want, and we could go, I mean, this is a conversation in itself, but I did want to get you, the ladies' view, because I call y'all the 21st century women. I wanted to get, and Ashley had mentioned, she even feels that responsibility, even though she has a husband, she's still that mom that's going to be there to make sure, even though hubby's there, he's bringing home, he's meeting the needs, he's taking care of the family, but mom's got to make sure the dinner's ready, the homework is done. Did you get your bath? School clothes out, that kind of thing. So mommy's still playing that role, even though daddy is very much present. So my next thing I wanted to pose to you all, where are you on the subject of love and relationships? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a man-woman relationship. I'm just talking about love and relationships in general, because I do understand that, I'm sure Choice said she on her way down the aisle, baby. So kudos.
Congratulations.
And Jen is a divorcee, so she's been married. She knows what that's like. And Brittany is she's with her boo, who's wonderful. So let's just start with Choice. Since we had Choice, what do you talk to us about love and relationship in the 21st century and where you are with it and so forth?
Right. That's a good question. And I think for us, since we're talking about millennials, I really think, from a love standpoint, it's different, as I look around at my friends, family, everyone, that's looking to date, looking to find love. You don't really have that old school love anymore. You've got social media, we've got technology, you can text someone versus picking up the phone, talking to them. Text messages are always misconstrued, and of options out there, and just morals and respect. And just as a woman, I think as women, we should always have respect for ourselves. Boundaries, what that kind of looks like, how we want to be treated. Let that be known up front before you get into that relationship and you realize like, oh, wow, like this is not how I envision my relationship. This is not how I envision love. But, for the millennials, I think we have a long way to go when it comes with love, and just really knowing truly what it is like to be loved and how you should be loved. But it just goes back to, our upbringing. If you were raised in a single parent home, you didn't have a father that was there to kind of show you how to be loved, how to be treated by a man. All of those different factors, it plays a key into women, when we're looking for love and what that kind of looks like. And, it's trial and error. We're just we're testing things out. We're testing relationships. We're dealing with different men, trying to get to learn them, trying to get to know who they are. And, at the end of the day, the same thing for the males. You can't really, bash them either, because maybe they were raised by a single mom. They didn't have a male in that household to kind of show them, how women should be treated, how they should treat women. And so it's just kind of a twofold. And, in the day, our mothers, fathers, grandparents, they had unconditional love. You had marriages lasting 50 years. Now you've got marriages lasting 50 days. And it's always a question to kind of just bring to the table, like, okay, how do we break this generational curse? How do we get back to real love? What does that kind of look like? But with millennials, a lot of them and a lot of us, we don't know what it looks like. So we're just trying to figure things out along the way as it goes. And if you look up and find you a lucky man or woman, then you're doing good. But everything else is, we've got to go through counseling. We've got to go through therapy so that we can work out these differences so we can be stronger and be there for each other. And you have to be open to that. It takes a strong person to, want to take that on, a man or woman. And with the millennials, it's just different, and it always goes back to that household and your upbringing. I think it's very important, like my son, he's 5, and people are always looking at me when we're out, opening the door at 5. His little hands, he's trying to grab the handle, and I'm looking around, this lady's like, oh my God, he's so mannerable. And I was like, I wish he would not try to open the door for me or you, so you think about it, starts in the home. It starts with the parents, and us just, making sure our kids understand, what is it like to treat others? What is it like to show love, genuine love, not let me give you this $100 and you go buy yourself something. Like, you can't buy.
Come on.
And it starts, I'm old school. I told you I'm a millennial, but behind me, but it really starts there. I could go on and on, but just trying to sum it up, that's just a lot of things just to kind of throw out there. How do we get back to the basics of what real love looks like, and where does it actually start in the household? Because it doesn't start with us coming into a relationship. It starts with our fathers loving us unconditionally, so that we know how to replicate that when we get out into it.
Jen?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, as Connie mentioned, I am a divorcee, and you obviously don't go into a marriage thinking that it's ever going to end in a divorce. So it's a very difficult process, and it's all about just rebuilding yourself and reassessing, where you want to be in life. And for myself, it's been all about just reclaiming my peace and just making sure that I put that first before anything else. So if I don't feel that connection, if I don't feel a sense of peace when I'm interacting with someone, when I'm engaging in a conversation, then I'm quick to cut that off, whether it's, no longer calling, no longer texting, no longer, sending instant messages, or however the conversation may be going. And I just think that's that's something important to do for yourself, because you have to love yourself first of all before you can love anybody else. And if you don't have that sense of peace within yourself, how are you going to give that in a relationship? And if somebody's not bringing that into your life, then the relationship's not going to work anyway. So for me, it's all about peace. It's all about trust. It's all about genuine love. Just like she said, you can't give somebody $100 and expect them to just go out and buy something and say that, I love you. Now, granted, there are different love languages, and you have to teach somebody how to love you. You have to teach somebody what it is to, for you to be loved. But, you also have to be able to step up and say, okay, that's not going to work for me. This is not what I'm looking for. And if you're not willing to make the change, make the adjustment, and do what needs to be done, then we'll go our separate ways. No love lost, no harm done. It's just not meant for me and you to be in a relationship together. And so I think most important, like I said, is just, maintaining that level of peace. And if that means for me, myself and I, if that means being alone, not being with someone, then I'm okay with that. And that's something else you have to be okay with, is maybe not being in a relationship at any particular time.
Yeah,
so,
I was going to ask you that. Yeah, I was going to say, well, are you okay with, because you've been on both sides, and if you don't find that one who brings you those things that you need, are you okay with, hey, I'm good? I'm good with being alone. I'm good. Of course you can date here and there, but I'm saying, as far as going down that aisle once again and making that lifelong commitment only for it not to work out again, are you good?
I would love to get married again. I do not have any type of ill thoughts towards marriage. I don't think that my previous relationship damaged me in that way. I think I still have a lot of love to give, and I think I deserve to be loved, but I do not mind living a single life if that's what it comes down to, because
But you'll do it again for the right guy.
For the right person. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I will walk down the aisle again for the right person.
Yeah.
When God sends them my way, I absolutely will.
Awesome. And let's talk to Sydney.
Well, I was I can't remember her first, the young lady who spoke first.
Joyce.
Yes. So like I said, I came from a one-parent home. My father, he was not around often. So I didn't see that type of love, but it's something that I long for. And so even though I've never seen it, it's never been an example for me, I still long for that. Like the current relationship I'm in now. I ask him for flowers. It may not be something he was used to in his previous relationship, but it's something that I like. And I feel like that is, it's a girly thing. So it's like, that it's simple, it's small, it's what you saw back in the day, the unconditional love, you come home, it's just flowers on the table. I was thinking about you, stuff like that. So, I am younger, so things are a little bit different, and it's harder for millennials to communicate with an open mind and a level head. We get to screaming and yelling, and we lose track of what we were really trying to have a discussion about. And so it, for me personally, it's more of a communication thing. We all take things at our own point of view, and just like she said, when you're texting, it comes off a different way. It comes off the way I read it. I read it with an attitude, even though you might not have sent it with an attitude. So it's more about the communication, and I feel like that's why it's not lasting as long, because back then I was able to people just communicate, look, you hurt me, this is what caused hurt, and if you can fix that, we can move forward. But nowadays it's like, you hurt me, I don't want nothing to do with you, which is fine if that's how you feel, but it's not healing anything. Sweeping it up under the rug, and you're keeping it on moving, and you're dragging that hurt into the next place that you're going to. So nothing is being really resolved. So for me, it's really just, it's not even an example. It's just communication. It's really big for me, because if I understand you can't possibly understand me. Awesome. And we can't move forward.
Awesome. Erykah Badu had a song. I know you all y'all are millennials, so you got to know it. She wrote a song, a song called Bag Lady. And basically in her song, you got too much stuff. You can't hurry up because you got too much stuff. And basically what she's telling us, listen, unpack some of that stuff, is what Sydney's saying. We take our hurt, our pain, you know what I mean? Our frustrations, our perceptions from those old relationships, and we take them into our new ones, expecting the same thing to happen. Whereas, my husband always say, you got to go into that relationship with a clean slate. Like, you can't go in saying, oh, well, he hurt me in this way, so he slept around on me, so I can't trust you. You know what I mean? Unpack all that baggage, and here I go in my counseling. Okay, I am a family and marriage life coach, so I'm sorry. But it's
bring it back,
trying to unpack the bags in order to be able to be freely love and be enjoy that new relationship. Because if you take in with you the woulda, coulda, shouldas, I didn't and I did, you still carrying that baggage into that new relationship. So you really got to let all of that go, you know what I mean, and say it's a clean slate, I'm starting fresh. So with that being said, Brittany,
I come from a single home as well. My mom is the definition of an independent woman. I do remember when my dad was in the house, she was very catering to him. But that was a very short time. I remember my mom getting it done. And so that definitely instilled some grit in me. But I find that because my mom was that way, when it comes to relationships, I try to be the exact opposite. I am very submissive in my relationship. He's deserving. He does everything. In my mom's house, I was the man because she didn't have one. So I did the dishes, the trash, the lawn and those kind of things. And I'm capable. I can do it. If I end up by myself, I'm very capable. But I will be honest and tell you that I don't like to do those things. Yeah. And I love that he loves to do those things, and he loves that I love to do the things that I do for him, and it just works out.
Yeah, for sure.
Can I comment on that? Yeah. Likewise, I have a lot of grit in me as well, and I'm the type, if I can do it myself, I'd rather do it myself instead of accepting the help. And it's a partnership, and sometimes it makes one feel less than and not equal. And so I hear all the time that you have to let a man be a man, let a woman be a woman. So in my relationship, I cook, I clean, but he, all I asked him to do was take out the trash. He'd take it out, take it out. But if he didn't, I would get up, take the bag, take it out to the trash, and won't say anything about it, because I'm capable of doing those things with or without you. And it's hard for me to be submissive because it's just me. I don't have any children. My mother has passed. It's just me. So sometimes I feel that if it doesn't work, it's on me. Sometimes I don't feel like I have a fallback, or I don't want to put that responsibility on somebody, and I try to get it all done myself. But when you're in a relationship, it's about he's supposed to lighten the load for you, and I'm supposed to lighten the load for you.
Absolutely.
And that's what I was going to say, Sydney. Like, you got to let him You know what I mean? Let him be who he is. And it is true, let the man be the man and let him lighten your load. And I was counseling with a couple the other day, and she's the same way. She was like, and they're married. And she was saying, well, I did this and I did that. And I said, okay, but that was in the beginning of the marriage and the relationship. At this point now, he's saying, I want to step to the plate. Let me wear the pants. I said, now, is that what you want? Do you want to be the head of the household or what? Because you
Right.
can't. I said, so if he's saying, you know what I mean, this is what I want to do, then you let him do that. And then when he does that, you celebrate those things that he's doing that you know you don't want to do. Yeah, a lot of times you're put in a position because you have to, but he's saying, listen, okay, now I'm stepping to the plate. I've got a job that's making more money. You understand what I'm saying? I want to be able to take you out to dinner. You don't have to pay the bill. Let him do that, because guess what? You deserve it. You know what I mean? So all of us, we have to get to that point where we deserve, enjoy the places where you are right now. Enjoy those places, enjoy those spaces, because you deserve it. I'm going to let you talk, Ashley. Go ahead.
Well, it's funny because both my husband and I, we both come from a 2-parent home. And so when we got into our relationship and then we started to discuss marriage, we wanted to be very clear and very sure that we understood, listen, we've seen our parents together for 30 plus years, both sets of parents for 30 plus years. We're not going to be the ones that change that for our kids. Now, of course, we all know no one wants to be in a relationship they don't want to be in. But there are times where we know, listen, am I putting in enough effort? No, I'm not putting in enough effort. Let me be very realistic with myself. And to be honest and transparent with you all, I mean, counseling has helped us significantly.
Yeah.
Because there was, and he was never anti-counseling at all. You know what I mean? But, there was a time where he was saying, oh, well, anytime that it was an issue, it was, let's go to counseling together. Let's go to counseling together. And I appreciated that. But then I said, wait, why don't you go to counseling yourself? And then I go to counseling myself, because what happened was it almost made it seem like every issue or every problem had me involved in it. And that wasn't the case. You know what I mean? So it's like, no, we both need to go separately, determine our issues, and then do marriage counseling together. In terms of millennial love and millennial relationships, it's tough. I mean, I've had family members who have met their spouse online through online dating, and they were together and now they're not. I've met other couples who met online dating, they're together and they're still together. So there's so many different ways that we as millennials view relationships and view love. And I totally agree with everyone when it comes to the type of household that you were in and then what your expectations are after that. My girlfriends and I, we were having a conversation about this day and age of relationships. And we were talking about like infidelity. And remember, like back in the day, like you guys have all seen the Jackson 5 movie, right? And the lady called 2 times and hung up. And, now your significant other can be right here. And you know what I mean? And your wife is right next to you, and it's one of those things where it's like, it's a scary time, because you can be in a full relationship and then have another relationship right here. And the person that you're really in a marriage with has no idea. What I mean? And so that's where that millennial thing is so scary, because it's like, there is someone could potentially be in your home and you have no knowledge of it. Yeah. And so that's one of those things where transparency is a very big thing in our relationship now that we've been going to counseling. Hey, you quiet, you not talking, talk to me. What's up? Let me talk to me. What's going on? Because I know you and you know me, and he wasn't particularly the best communicator. And me growing up with a military father, he was very assertive and, what's up? Talk to me, communicate. I don't understand silent treatments, anything like that. So when there's an issue, Ashley's going to talk all the time. I think it's funny how I don't understand how, and we have,
I think
something's not adding up to me. Now let's talk about, I was something just didn't, it just wasn't right. So you know, I just think that in our generation, we want what we see, but we also have to know that there's a lot of work that goes behind that now. You know what I mean? It's just like when you think about, I can speak for my grandfather who was with my grandmother until he died. You know, it was like I've seen the line of relationships, you know, grandfather, great grandfather. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Keep going. I have a question for you though. Keep
No,
going.
go ahead.
Well, so my question is, to make a long story short and a short story shorter, I was recently at a funeral. The lady was talking about her brother who was basically across town. The story. So basically the little girls were looking at an Easter outfit. All the Easter outfits were on the bed. There was one for a little boy. They only had sisters in the home. They wanted to ask, they never asked. 10 years later, they met their little brother. So I say this to say, do you just think that it wasn't able to be captured? Like, do you think that that's the difference between new love and old love? Do you think that's why people were together for 35 years because they didn't know what was going on, or it wasn't all in your face? Because it's a lot easier.
I think they did. I mean, well, I can speak. I mean, and oh Lord, please, grandmother, don't visit me in my dreams. I can very well say, you know, visit me in my dreams, but only in a good, sweet, fuzzy dream, please, girl. You know, I love you. I love you. You know. My mother will say, you know, I have siblings that I don't know are my siblings, but I know they're my siblings. And my grandmother, there was one child out of the many children that my grandfather had on her. There was one child that was the only one that she technically accepted. And it was really crazy to me. And I never asked her about it because you definitely can't talk about that.
Right.
But, you know, I think that to me, it would be hard if they didn't know, you know, because at that time, small towns, they talked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your neighbors talked. I mean, if I go back to my mom's hometown in South Carolina, the small town, you say the last name Walker, everybody knows who you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
but the last thing is like, and that's the difference. Knowing and seeing it are two different things. And so, like you said, now there's Facebook. So it's one thing to hear your man was talking to somebody else. It's a whole nother thing to see them in a picture on Facebook with somebody else.
Yes, that is true.
But like you said, it's about transparency, because I can't, in my 29 short years, in my 29 years of living, I've experienced that before, talking to someone and they have a whole nother life, wife, girlfriend, kids, whole nine. I won't say not one word. And then you get put in the awkward position because, you know, I'm the type, be honest with me. Let me know what's going on. Let me make my own, you know, assumption or, you know, conclusion. And you end up, and they're not transparent. And then, like you said, you get secret, you know, siblings, and, you know, you get crazy side chick, toxic, because, you know, man or woman wasn't honest about what is really going on. And so, you know, even back then, I mean, it was happening a lot, but it just wasn't out in the open, and women and men, they weren't so, you know, just openly to it. Oh, you got a girl, you got a man, I don't care. I could be your side man. They say it so openly, like you hear it all the time. Yeah. And you know what older people say, they just ain't got no coof. They ain't got no coof at all. You know?
Yeah, and it's true. And the other thing is, growing up, like for our grandmothers and our mine, they knew it, but it wasn't spoken of. You know what I mean? So it was more so like, well, he bringing a check and putting it on the table here. You know what I mean? So you know that song, Papa was a Rolling Stone. Wherever he had his hat, he was his home. Where he laid his hat was his home. So my Big Mama knew, but Big Mama didn't say nothing, because Big Mama said he's bringing that check here.
But did Big Mama depend on that check? Big Mama wasn't bringing in her own check, right?
You didn't have the money.
That's the new day and age.
Mama was depending on that check, but today is a different day.
So today, a lot of women aren't dealing with that. They're not willing to accept it because we got our own bag. We got our own check.
Yeah, and I think too, it's just the love languages of the old school generation versus the new school generation. I think, you know, you talk about flowers, you know, like that's something that it's a small gesture. It doesn't cost you a lot. You don't have to make, you know, $100,000 to just buy me a bouquet of flowers. Let it sit on my, you know, let it be sitting on the table when I walk in the door, or, you know, have it delivered to my job. Those are the small, they mean so much. So it's a difference between technology love signals and, you know, the more intimate, meaningful love signals as well. So, you know, a little more thought, but no one needs to know. Now you've got Facebook, you've got Instagram, you've got Twitter. So like you bring me a bouquet of flowers and it's all over live Instagram. Like no one needed to see you bringing me all these flowers on Instagram. So it's like the technology and the hype. And I mean, honestly, for men, sometimes you can think like it's intimidating because it's like, okay, this is what's going on around me. How do I compete with that? So, as women, it's like independency kicks in, but then men is like, okay, the stakes are kind of high, but what do I do? And it's like, back in the day, like our dads, grandads, they would come home, with, flowers, come home with a bottle of perfume, like something, just a little small gesture that you just can't, because, everyone's all about, designer, like it's so much more to it. And love, you can't put a price tag on love at the end of the day. Just how you choose to live your language. And I mean, it's a long conversation. We can go over and on and on about this, but it's really about, it's a big difference between old school and new school love.
So true. Very true. And I think that the other point is like, I think most of you, all of you have said it. It's not always the big things, it's the little things. So though, brother might be a Gen Z, but you and Gen Z, hey, don't throw everything away that mama, you saw mom and daddy do, because some stuff was good stuff, like you're saying, the flowers coming home. Now, when I got married, I'm married 30 years in January, but my husband and I, we weren't financially where we are today. You understand what I'm saying? But when he came home with one rose, it meant the world. Like, oh my God, I got a rose. You know what I mean? Now I get dozens of roses to my job, or some, flowers when I get home, or perfume, or
cars in the driveway.
Well, car in the driveway, but it didn't start out like that, is what I'm saying. But it's the little things a lot of times that hold a whole lot of meaning. You know what I mean? And so for that generation of young men who might be viewing this, or, seeing this on a Facebook Live or one of your lives or whatever, it's still the nice thing. Everybody don't want a Gucci bag. You know what I mean? Everybody not asking you to take them to Ruth Chris for dinner. You know what I mean? It might be the simple fact that you pack in a picnic basket and say, hey, babe,
there you
we
go.
going on a date.
Yep.
And in that bag, you got some wings, chips, and some soda. You know what I mean? But it's the thought behind it that means so much more than the fact that you had to go out and go into debt because you're trying to keep up with the Jones. You know what I mean? Which you can't financially do. So I think that it's just awesome. And it is, believe it or not, ladies, 7:57.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness, we ran
I know. We might have to come back and do a part two.
Yes. See, as you can tell, millennials, but each one of us on this call, we all have wisdom. So I love this. Because we're all on the same page.
You better say a choice.
Different aspects of our life. So I appreciate you, ladies, and I've learned a lot in this, 7 minutes that we've been on this call.
Yes, thank you all so much. I'm going to give everybody a last minute to say hi, bye, whatever you want to say. You have a business, go ahead and shout it out. Tell people where they can, log on and check out your business. Choice, I got to get your number, boo. Mobile bar, we love it.
Yes. I am the owner of Right Choice Cocktails. You can find me on Instagram at Right Choice Cocktails. I like to create exotic and, specialty cocktails for all of my clients. I have been certified for 2 years, and it's something that I truly enjoy. It's like going to the shoe store now, but I'm just making cocktails and want you to have a good time. So,
all right, girl.
Yes,
very nice.
You know we love the shoe store.
Listen, shoe store and liquor. Listen, shoe store and alcohol. That's all us women we need.
Look, go perfect together.
All we need in this life is sin.
Go ahead, Ashley. Shout out your business.
Yeah, so I am the owner, founder of A Grazing Grace, and it is a charcuterie board business. And so I started back in 2020 at the top of the pandemic. It's founded on Instagram. Someone else was doing it up in Delaware, and I said, I can do that. So charcuterie boards, of course, are just your meats, cheeses, fruits. I do specialty boards, just candy for kids. And so I am on Instagram at grazing, GRAZING, Grace. I'm on Instagram, and I'm also on Facebook. And it's just something that I do in my pastime. I'm also in corporate America like Choice, but we got to get our bags multiple ways. So
love it. I love it.
Dude.
Go ahead. Who's next? Sydney, go ahead and tell the people if they need to reach you or talk to you or whatever.
Yes, I am the owner and founder of Bedazzle Cleaning Services. I do residential cleaning. I have a Facebook and Instagram. It's Bedazzle, BDAZZLED Cleaning Services. For all your residential cleaning necessities, call me.
Are you in Atlanta too?
Beautiful.
I am in Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, if
I
you
look
need,
at
you
that,
Georgia-
she's like, yes.
if
I was
you
gonna say,
need me, it
Sydney,
would be
you're
a
Georgia
pleasure.
Beach. We were talking
I'm
about
actually
Georgia.
I'm from New York.
See,
I can hear it.
That
Mhm.
accent, I heard it.
definitely
Yeah, I can
see.
hear
I
it.
heard it.
I try to hide it. I try
You
to.
didn't
in your
hide it.
spirit.
You didn't hide it. You didn't
Yeah.
hide it. Brittany, say bye to the people, whatever your last closing.
Hi
word.
guys, I'm not a business owner yet, but I'm just so inspired by you all. I'm currently working on my own thing called Homegrown Honey, where I hope to grow my own herbs and all kinds of things, and just really specialize in holistic healing and just trying to push people to be more into natural medicine. Really
I like how
focusing
you
on the
said-
body instead of the symptoms, if that makes any sense. I believe that food is medicine, and so everything starts there.
That's right.
Wonderful. And
Yes.
Jen is our other
Yes.
host. Say bye.
Yeah,
bye.
so well, ladies, I want to thank you guys so much for joining in on this conversation. It has been very, very enlightening. I myself have learned a lot from you guys. I do not own a business. I'm a flight attendant. So anytime you might
Ooh.
be catching me around the country in another city, I'm not in Atlanta very often. But
She's living her
actually,
best life
Choice,
now.
yes, kind of live my best life. I actually just, became a bartender myself. So I will be following you on Instagram to get some ideas and everything. That's one of my new passions now. So yeah, absolutely. But again, thank you all so much for all of the knowledge that you have shared with us today. We greatly appreciate it. And we cannot wait to have you back.
Yes, we will have the
Awesome.
same panel back. It was fantastic. Thank you so much, ladies. We appreciate you, everything you shared. I've learned a lot from you all. And I just want to say thank you to all of our viewers who are watching us on the replay. You're checking us out on YouTube. Listen, don't just check us out. Go like, share, all those things that you're supposed to do to support our point of view, and make sure you put on the End Talk Show, because there are other our points of view out there, but our point of view talk show, the Blue Banner. We celebrate you. Next week, we're going to be talking about mental health. Come back, join the conversation. We got some doctors going to be on with us, but we thank you. And we want you to remember that everything you heard and everything we said on this show today was our point of view.
Our point of view.
Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
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 Bye.